Let's begin with some signs of an economic slowdown. The government's initial reading of first quarter GDP coming in at an annualized rate of 1.1. That's compared to 2.6 in Q4 and expectations of about 1.9 or 2. Atlanta Fed actually, Jim, was right on the money at 1.1.
Yeah, boy, they've been right on a lot of stuff. I follow them now. It used to be St. Louis Fed. You can look at them, but Atlanta Fed's been a great arbinger of what's coming. I was surprised. Surprised because it's not really jiving with the hiring, including today's jobless claims. There's just a slowdown and people still being hired at higher wages. So if I were the Fed, I would say, you know what, we haven't won yet. We have to break the cycle of higher wages in a slowdown, David, because someone is going to say stagflation.
So is this going to do that?
No, I'm saying that I think Powell has. There's no justification.
Is there? Well, I guess, is there any sign in this lower than expected GDP number that cycle is starting to erode?
I still just see higher wages.
I still see higher wages.
Yeah, look, I've been on the phone with a lot of the CEOs. Let me give you my thesis on the higher wages. People didn't come back to work, okay? 58 to 62. Then they had to bring in all new people. What we've left out is these were skilled workers. So if it's a pilot, you have to train them for 6, 8, 9 months. If it's a welder, they have to be trained. They didn't have any training. People didn't have, like, hey, I'll fill in. Like, you know, one of the things about a pilot, David, it's like they didn't just grab the person in the first row and say, listen, it's your airplane. So that's been this period right now where you're not getting any productivity out of people, but you're hiring them. And I don't want that. I feel like that. I'm fine. We're seeing a lot of manufacturing tepid. We'll hear about that today. But we're seeing still travel, still going places, still wealth, still being hired at higher prices.
But you don't think that this is a sign of a coming recession?
No. I think that there's just not enough. I mean, just, Carl, look at the numbers today. I know a lot of it's pharma, but it's really only Zuckerberg that let people go. And there, even you could argue, well, it's like 11,000 people from a year ago.
I mean, people are looking at AWS, right? Some layoffs there.
Right.
Tyson, 10%.
Well, Tyson's done really poorly, and they're very poorly run.
Deutsche Bank's cutting about 800 back office.
Another good
yes,
quarter.
Yes.
Remember when Deutsche Bank they decided to rate it and say it was just like Credit Suisse, like, hey, that's Europe.
And Stellantis, 33,000 potential buyouts, right? You don't buy
that.
You
got a good yield. It should have been better.
But you're right, though. We're not seeing it show up in the national.
No, and you take a look at some of the companies that are like in oil. They're all still drilling. Like there's some stocks like SLB really had a decent quarter. It just kind of goes down every day. That's wrong. We have MedTech all doing well. Pharma used to raise earnings per share by firing people. Now the only person leaving Bristol Myers is Dr. Caforio, who, by the way, David, is terrific. Reinvented Bristol Myers.
Yes.
Gave it a lot more different franchises, and then at his peak, not the peak of the stock, but his peak of how the company's doing, he retires. We had a lot of retirements this quarter. Scott Sheffield from Pioneer retired. I hate to see all these guys. Darius Adamczyk from Honeywell.
I know. And they're young guys. I don't know. They're all younger than you. I don't know why. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I hosted the American Brain Foundation.
That was gratuitous.
Dinner. I hosted the gala last night.
Yes.
Okay. Brain Foundation. I was the youngest there.
There you go.